Here you go. So the first thing I want you to write down at the front of your booklet is review, right? Test review. I will say pages 113 to 123. Key posted. Key is already posted, and I have that whole chunk posted in one big file. Okay. Plus old quiz. That's a handout that I'm about to give you. So I would say you're in pretty good shape if you work through those. Let's just briefly walk through the booklet. Just make sure you write that down. And this is maybe for exam time, right? You're like, oh yeah, I remember that. Okay. We're good? Okay. Oh, sure. So I'm just going to talk about some of the things that you need to know. We're good? Yeah. So obviously, pros and cons, like advantages of buying a home, and there's a bunch of them down here. A lot of you have good stuff. By the way, if you wanna ace, like equity is usually a very good one, an advantage for buying a home. And you can use the equity to borrow money against it, right? It helps you to borrow money. So equity is like huge. Then some advantages of renting. I would say the biggest one is you don't need a whole lot of money to get started, right? The initial cost is much lower. You don't need a down payment. Please be very specific when you do these ones. Don't just say it's cheaper. Don't just say it's cheaper, please. Say it's cheaper, why? Give me a specific example. Oh, it's less maintenance because you're not responsible for all the repairs, right? Another thing you can say is it's cheaper, why? Anybody? Why else is renting cheaper? Just give me an example specifically on what we learned. Let's talk about insurance. Do you think insurance is cheaper for an apartment? Why? You're only insuring the contents, not the building, right? So be specific. Don't just say it's cheaper. Please don't say that because you're not going to get the marks there. I talked about equity and how it works. You just need to know kind of like that's part of owning a house. Let's keep going. We talked about GDSR, and the GDSR, the magic number is 32. I have to commend you. You're pretty good at that. Like you're saying, no, you will not be approved because you're above 32%, or yes, you will be approved because you're less than 32%. Can I say one more time, what is the GDSR? It compares the monthly housing costs to your income. That's what it really does. And so if the housing costs end up being less than 32%, you're good. It's sustainable. You can make it. If your housing costs are more than 32%, you're in trouble because we all know we need money for other things, right? You don't want to be house poor, right? That's what they call it. And so another thing here is the maximum we can spend on housing is taking your income, multiplying it by 32%. Right? That's important to know. It kind of goes off of the GDSR. This is like actually calculating the GDSR. This is kind of going backwards, like, well, how much could you be spending on housing? Well, take your income, multiply it by 0.32%. That's like the maximum. Like you cannot spend more than that because then you would be over 32%. Okay? I'm just going to keep going. The important thing there is make sure everything is in monthly amounts. Okay? Then go to 18 with me here real quick. Initial startup costs, or also known as one-time, right? There's the initial one-time or closing costs. Sometimes you call it closing because you're closing the deal, right? You're transferring the property. You have a whack load of one-time, of which this one, land transfer tax, is probably the biggest one of all. Thousands of dollars, right? You pay this once when you transfer the property, okay? From one name to the other. I always joke about it. I imagine a person in the office just like with a computer, just deleting the name of the previous owner, and then they put your name in there. $5,000, please, right, for that. I don't know. I think it's more complicated than that, but I keep joking about that. And then there's survey certificate, legal costs, lawyer fees, you name it. Don't say, I wouldn't use moving. Lunch? Hold on. Lunch. Yeah. Moving expenses, like, you got to be careful. If it's compared to renting, moving isn't going to do it, right? Because you got to also pay for movers, most likely, if you're renting. Okay, keep going. Keep going. We talked about mortgages, mortgage payments. I need you to be able to, just listen carefully, I need you to be able to take your down payment, compare it to the total, and get me your down payment as a percentage. It shouldn't be too hard to do that, right? It's basically your test score over the total times 100. That's how much you got on your test, right? Same thing here. Let's keep going. You don't have to worry so much about fixed versus variable. Don't worry, like I just did that to explain everything to you. This table is exactly the same as vehicle finance. Can I say one more thing? When there's a down payment, you subtract it from the price, and that's your mortgage, and that is what shows up in all of the other formulas. Okay, so you got to make sure you understand. Table rate comes from the pink chart. Interest rate comes from the question will give you what the interest rate is. So this one is divided by 1,000. This is divided by 100. Lowercase I is the first month only. Okay. If you want total interest, you got to use this longer formula. This is over the life of the mortgage. How can you reduce your total interest paid? Increase your down payment, make extra payments, take less time to pay it off, right? All of those things. Let's keep going. Come with me to oh yeah, here. Go to 41 real quick. 41 is your mortgage amortization tables. I'm going to give you a little hint here. Focus on partially filled in tables. So this one on page 42. When it's already kind of partially filled in, how do you fill in the rest? Okay. And there are in the 113 to 123 in that bunch, there is at least one table like this there. So focus on that. Hint, hint. Right, hint, hint. So if you're here, you're getting that. Come with me to 47 real quick. Insurance. By the way, insurance is an ongoing cost. It's not a one-time. We have the tenant insurance, right? You use this table in your pink chart. And then we have on page 50, we have the homeowner's insurance. The maximum for homeowners is 200,000. The maximum for renting or tenant is 75,000, right? And then you need to do something if it goes over. So this is the formula in general. So if you want a $500 deductible, you would not include this step, right? If you want before taxes, you would not include this step. So overage is only if you're going over. If it's a renting situation, if you're over 75,000, you need to subtract 75 from the total to get how much you're over. Okay. Let's keep going. I would expect you to know a little bit of how is your insurance. Listen to this one. What factors affect your insurance? I ask that quite often, and you know what I get more often than I would like to see is increase your down payment. This is insurance. This has nothing to do with your mortgage, right? So don't tell me that having a greater down payment is going to reduce your insurance. It actually won't, because they still need to rebuild your entire house. It doesn't matter how much of a down payment you have. You can say discounts, right? The building itself, the value of the home, age of the home, you name it. that, and then if you're drawing a blank, look at your chart, look at your table. What factors are we considering when we come up with our value here, our rate? Okay, let's keep going. Oh, there it is on page 61, land transfer tax. I think overall, I must say you're doing pretty good. I don't know if on your study sheet you want to have this line, or you want to have like this table with the decimals, because a lot of students forget to divide the percentages by 100. In which case your amounts are way bigger. And remember, if you can no longer subtract, you don't multiply that number you're trying to subtract, you multiply what's left over. Okay, so in this case 185 gets the 2%, and so you should see a progression of increasing. It should increase here along the right side here. Okay, let's keep going. Property taxes. This is in general what property taxes, what we use to calculate it. Watch out, portion assessment, like you only need to do this part if the question doesn't give you the portion assessment. If the question says the house is valued at 300,000 and it will be taxed at 45%, right? So then you need to first find the 45% and then use that as your portion assessment. Mill rate divided by 1,000, okay, not 100. So watch out. And you got to have your improvements. That's based on the frontage, right? How wide your property is. And then you add up the education, municipal, any improvements, and you subtract credits if there are any present. Okay. I have examples there. I have videos on that. What else? Oh, last item, and then I'll give you the mock test. This is on page 78. So this is preventative maintenance versus emergency repairs. 78, go to 78 real quick. So I'm just gonna, after this, just flip to a random picture, because I like pictures more, right? I'm gonna go to a picture here. Oh, sump pump. So let's say I'm asking you for, you're a homeowner, what is a preventative maintenance item you can do in your home? You think, let's say you think like me, you think probably I'm obsessed with sump pumps, right? That's probably like what his wife is gonna give him for Christmas. Like, here's a sump pump. Right? I already have one. That's okay. You really like them. Take it. Preventative. What would be a preventative maintenance item that you could do with a sump pump? Anybody? If you can go make sure it's working, right? Regularly inspect it. How would you make sure it works? Pour water in there, like a bucket of like 20 liters, you know, these big buckets. So you might need help with that. Just dump it in there and your pump should go on. If it doesn't, in trouble. What would be an emergency repair that would result from you not checking it? Well, your basement would flood. It would damage the carpets. It would damage the drywall. It would cost a lot more, right? So write me a little essay. No, don't do essays. Just a few sentences. Don't give answers like you do when you go home and your parents ask you something. You know, what did you do in school today? Nothing. Don't give me those answers. Give me like the nice, like, you know, longer, elaborate, be specific. Let's look at this picture here. Because I'm not going to tell you specifically, hey, look at the window well. I'm just going to ask you in general, as a homeowner, what are some things that you can do to prevent major damage? Like, what is some preventative maintenance? You can say, well, walk around my house and inspect all of the, what are these called? Window wells. You can just say, make sure that the snow around the windows, the basement windows, is not, you know, full. So make sure to empty the snow or to shovel the snow away from the window wells. And check the drain maybe on the window wells. Let's keep going. Oh, there's something about the roof here. A preventative maintenance item would be Regularly inspect your roof to make sure there's no broken shingles or missing shingles, or to make sure that they're not curling up, because that's a sign of that their expiration date essentially is here. You need to replace it. It's like milk. Expiration date, chuck it, right? Get a new one. Same here. What are another preventative maintenance item would be, make sure your gutters or your eaves troughs are clean. Clean them from debris. Why would you want to do that? Prevent ice damming, right? Or you can say, if you're lost for words, you can just say, to make sure that in the spring there's no buildup of ice causing damage to your roof or ceiling or attic, right? Something like that. Be creative. What's the emergency repair that can result from this? Well, obviously extensive damage to your ceiling, to your attic, to the insulation in the attic, yada, 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 right? Another preventative maintenance item, you look at your furnace. What should you be doing on a regular basis? I highlighted it there, right there. Just change the filters regularly to extend the life of your furnace. That's preventative maintenance. What's an emergency repair that can result as you like from you not doing the preventative maintenance? Well, premature failure of the furnace, right? It could, yeah, it just shortens the life of your furnace. And it, another sidekick would be it would cost you more on heating, right? Heating would be more expensive because this thing has to work harder to get the air through it. It's almost like, when you have your smoothie, you go to Booster Juice, and all of a sudden a chunk gets stuck in there. You're like, I can't do it, right? But I still want it, right? Same kind of idea. If this is clogged, it's gonna try to get the air out of your room, but it just can't. It has to work so hard to do that, and you will basically break something in your furnace. Keep going. I think I'm gonna stop because I feel like you guys, maybe this is information overload and I get it. Another last one would be inspect your water tank. Make sure there's no leakage. Oh. Okay, page 90, that's where I left off. Inspection is make sure you check for leaks. And a preventative maintenance item would be have the catch basin under the water tank to make sure that if there is a leak, it will be running to the drain and not making a mess in your basement. Okay. Let's do the energy savings part because you need to know. Remember, the test is going to have about 14 questions that are like explain, state. Like it's going to be a lot of, but they're going to be easy if you've reviewed, right? If you've paid attention. So, for example, how would you save on electricity? Right? Upgrade is the key word. Upgrade light bulbs to LED. You can say use timers for outdoor lights. Install switches that have motion sensors, or you can say upgrade to switches that have motion sensors. You can just have a timer for outdoor lights. I said that already, but installing a switch that has a timer that you can program. How can you save on heating? Upgrade your furnace to high efficiency. Upgrade any insulation. It could be attic, walls. Some of you might have a basement that isn't finished. If there's just concrete, if all you see is concrete, you should probably insulate that, right? You can just put insulation on there and then that plastic barrier to keep moisture from coming in. And then at least you won't lose heat through those walls, right? So, and by the way, there are programs. If you visit Efficiency Manitoba, they often give you a significant chunk back. So let's say it costs you 10 grand. You could be qualifying for a couple $1,000s in rebates, like they give you that in your through the bill, they give you a credit on your bill or something, which is amazing. Did you know that I applied for a furnace for a family, like a refugee family we sponsored, and they got a brand new furnace for $9 a month. That's nothing. It's like you save so much money with the new furnaces. It pays for the upgrade. Upgrade to triple pane windows. So instead of double, you go triple. Okay. How would you save water? Have a low flow kitchen faucet or aerator. Check any pipes for leaks. Did I tell you about checking for leaks in your toilet? This is fun. You can have fun. You can freak people out. You know that. So take some food coloring. Take some food coloring. Open this back tank back here, and just put a few drips of red. Is my favorite color because it freaks people out the most. So technically, if you put food coloring in there, you should see nothing in this bowl. Because if you see that the red comes through into this bowl, that means that there's a slow leak going in. So if it's clear, you're good. So the next person comes in, uses the toilet, they flush, it's going to be red in the bowl and they're going to freak out. They might think it's something wrong with them, right? You tell them, of course, you have to tell them right away. Don't let them like call 911 or anything. But I did that and it was pretty fun to watch my kids freak out. But every once in a while I check because the seals or whatever might slowly leak and you will not hear it. It's a silent leak and that's money out of your pocket. Okay? That's preventative maintenance slash saving on water. I would say it's like a double you can use there. That's it. That's all. So what am I going to tell you right now? Work on any of these pages. I would say start maybe with the old quiz. I will post a key to that one. Also, you can just go through your booklet and just do the questions that I assigned there. The keys are all posted as well. That's it. That's all.